We ended up in the ER this week twice. Sam had this skin infection in his foot that got progressively worse. And during our second trip, they hooked him up to this IV drip of antibiotics. Took about 2.5 hours. And near the end of that time, when he had, his body full of those good drugs, he still spiked a fever and was shaking. This whole week has been this process of watching him go through a cycle of he'd feel a little bit better, the fever would return with a vengeance, he'd take more meds. Feel a little better, the fever would return, take more more meds. And it made me think about some similar cycles in work environments that I know about. Maybe you'll recognize this. Somebody feels a certain level of discomfort, usually because of another person, their boss or their coworker. And they kind of try to, put on the good front most of the time. But when they talk with me about it, how they're really feeling comes out. Two things that have been interesting about that. One is trying to mask the pain doesn't make it go away. And the second is, even though saying it out loud to me is a good first step, it doesn't solve the problem. Unless everybody involved with the situation is willing to look at the severity and say, what do we need to do to make sure this is really cleared up? It just continues this unhealthy cycle. They feel upset, things settle down, they hope it doesn't happen again. They feel upset, things settle down, and they hope it doesn't happen again. The ER nurse drew this purple line around Sam's calf, and they said if the red starts to go above the line, it streaks up his leg, get back to the ER immediately because it could be life-threatening. Thankfully that didn't happen. But unfortunately with people, we don't have any way of seeing that purple line. And so that's why as leaders, we have to be so careful to pay attention to what our people are showing us. If they're disengaged or there's low productivity or they're frustrated, and then be willing to do the triage where we say, okay, I'll listen, I'm going to care, and then we're courageous enough to confront the situation so that it doesn't devolve to the point of no return. At the Live to Lead event, Chris Hogan called that running to your people to serve them. And he said, when you do that kind of service, it increases trust, it builds credibility, and it creates unity. Sounds like a tall order, and it is. But that kind of continual service is like the slow drip of the IV. It actually can save lives. I think that's worth it. So who are the people that have the purple line that you need to pay attention to? Run to them before it's too late. That's my perspective this Friday. I'm Amy Barg, living large, and Sam's better.